Select both shapes using the Move tool. Once you've done that, go up to the controls here and select Align Center. So it's now nicely aligned there. What I now want to do is display for this one the center point. So you can just do that by clicking here. And I want to move this center point to this circle. However, can't do it particularly easily without creating some guides. Now, that feature does not, unless you can put in the comments below, exist in Affinity Photo. So I'm just going to quickly create some designs. I'm just going to quickly create like there. I'm just going to go to the pen tool and I'm just going to create that. And now I'm just going to create another one. So escape, so I don't create, and I can create that. Going that way, holding down the shift so you get a nice straight line. Well, what I can do, I'm just going to select that one and that one. And then I'm going to align it. Now I know this is fiddly. This is fiddly, but it's the same, much the same in both. So just now nicely aligned there. And likewise, I want to do that for this and I want to go for this one. So I'm just going to align it there. So it's nicely aligned like that. So I now know where the center is. There's the center. Select that one and with you got this center point and then you can simply drag that down to that point. That's the center. That's the center of that thing. Unfortunately, you can't see it unless you've actually got it defined like that. And it's even there, it's slightly out. Just put it there. Now what I want to do is rotate this design. And I'm going to use a transform. You can find that in the view menu, studio and transform. And there it is. I'm going to duplicate it first. So I'm just going to quickly go to layer and duplicate selection. So I've got two ellipses. And for that one, I'm just going to put 10 degrees. So 10 degrees, I could put anything there. So 10 degrees. So it's just moved around. Now there's a power transform feature, which you can use, which is go over here to layer and duplicate selection. That's Command J or Control J, and you can repeat that. And that will be repeated all the way around like that to create your circles. And of course, you don't want to leave these. What you can do, you can delete them. Just delete them, just using the delete key, and there you've got rid of them. So you've got your design all the way through around that circle. In Affinity Photo, select both shapes in Photoshop using the Move tool. With that selected, go up here to the horizontal alignment in the controls. Make certain it's obviously over there. Now, you can see here you've got this center point. You need to click here, Show Transform Controls with the Move tool. Make certain that's on. Now, with this selected, you can see this center point. Now, I want the center point to be positioned down here, but I can't see it. So what I'm going to use guides. So View menu and New Guides from Shape. So you can see now I've got these guides. And I can move these guides down. So I'm just going to position it right at the center. And likewise, this one at the center as well. So you've got that nicely aligned. Now I'm just going to go back to here and now select that one and move this down to the center point here. So this center is there. Now I'm just going to rotate it. So I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to set this to 10. Could be any other value, of course. So 10 degrees. And you can see it's moved. Press return. And now what you can do is Command, Option, Shift and T and repeat it all the way around. You can see applied multiple times and then you finish there. So which one wins out? Photoshop or Affinity Photo? Personally, I must admit I think the Affinity Photos approach is fine. Likewise in Photoshop. However, the guides approach in Photoshop I think is much nicer. Though they both lack a feature of showing the center point when you're not selecting that path. It would be a great feature in both if it could actually indicate where the center is for a path, because you might want to rotate around it or use it in some way. Of course, there's other workarounds. You could create a path very easily as well and place that at that center point, but it really should be indicated. I think it should be a good feature in both. As to speed, I think Photoshop's approach is a lot quicker. I've produced the design much quicker in Photoshop than doing it in Affinity Photo. But other than that, both have got various commands that you can use, though of course in Affinity Photo it's a much simpler shortcut, but of course you can always change the shortcut in Photoshop if you want to. You don't have to use the one that you've got here. It's obviously Shift, Command, Alt and T. It's a bit obviously longer to remember than Command J or Control J. But that's really the only sort of fundamental differences between them. The alignment features are still there. both work. Probably one difference is the show transform controls is not particularly obvious what that means. For me personally, whereas I think the center point indicating that it's a center point in the controls. So in Affinity Photo, if you go to Affinity Photo, you've got this center point. So I select here and you've got this center point here. Though even that is probably not particularly obvious unless we'll transform origin as it says there. But in Photoshop, it says show transform controls. So that's not particularly great either. However, and you can do much the same. And of course, you can use other things other than circles, of course, triangles, etc. So which ones are your favourites? Photoshop or Affinity Photo? Which one do you prefer? Please put in the comments below any sort of comments. Do you think one is easier? And also, does it work in other things, like for text, etc.? So there's other things to explore. Images is obviously a classic case in point. Is that better in Photoshop or Affinity Photo? Please put your opinions. Thank you much.